So there you are, wandering the aisles of your favorite local gun store. You've seen the classics, the Mossbergs and Remingtons, the Glocks and Berettas, maybe some CZs if you're a man of culture, but then you spot it. It's bullpup, it's magazine fed, and it's a 12 gauge shotgun. And it's only $400. What a bargain, right? Yeah, no, not really, because what you're looking at is a Turkish shotgun. One of the many Turkish shotguns that have been imported en masse over the last few years. Turkish shotguns have been part of the gun industry for decades, but around COVID times, things went a little crazy. Gun stores and the internet were flooded with piles and piles of cheap Turkish shotguns. And now, we are reaping what we sowed. Now, if you don't believe me, go watch any of the James Reeves TFB TV burn downs on Turkish shotguns and let me know. Have any made it to the 500 round mark? So why shotguns? Why Turkish shotguns? Well, in general, shotguns have fewer import restrictions compared to rifles and pistols. And this just isn't in the United States, but around the world, and shotguns just tend to be less restricted. Turkey has low labor costs, so they could pump out shotguns rapidly. And when the first Turkish shotguns hit the market, they usually had to do something different. They were affordable double barrel guns, things like that. But as we saw the rise of the modern Turkish shotgun, we saw guns competing with something like the Maverick 88, which is a reliable and affordable little shotgun made by Mossberg, an American company people trust. So to beat guns like the Maverick 88, which is a fairly plain pump-action shotgun, the Turks got a little bit wild. Now this is where we saw the rise of some really nutty guns. So these were also some of the ugliest shotguns ever to exist. So they bullpup guns, that's very, very common. They added carry handles randomly on all sorts of different guns. And then they just decided we'll just cover everything in a Picatinny rail and we'll call it good. Now, while this gave birth to some truly disgusting guns, they did have an appeal, especially if you were kind of new to guns and you wanted a tactical shotgun. Why would you get something boring like the Maverick 88 when you can get this bullpup thing absolutely slathered in rails? I mean, a lot of people want butt ugly mag-fed shotguns that kind of look like ARs. And I say that because they make so damn many of them. One thing you'll notice pretty quickly is that a lot of different companies pop up selling Turkish shotguns. And if you look at each different company, you realize they're all kind of selling the same guns, or at least at times selling the exact same guns. They just put a different name on it. All of those bullpups and AR type shotguns are remarkably similar, if not absolutely identical. In some cases, the shotguns weren't really weird, but feature filled. They might offer sights or heat shields, or optics ready. Maybe they folded in half, which is why I bought this thing. I thought that was kind of neat. Sometimes these guns have interesting features that make themselves attractive to the end user, and then they still offer a low price. Recently, the Turkinelli copies of the Benelli M4 have become the new hotness. They're promising the Benelli M4 Argo gas system and the quality of an Italian shotgun, but without the price, and that's just a load of bullshit. So what's the problem with Turkish shotguns? Now, not all Turkish shotguns are bad, but most of them are. I say this as a fellow who loves shotguns and who has had and still has quite a few Turkish shotguns. I'm showing 4 guns in this video that are all Turkish made. Most Turkish shotguns are going to be a mess. The biggest problem they have is poor quality control mixed with poor materials being used. Soft metals, poor heat treatment, things like that are going to be inherent design flaws that cause reliability and ultimately durability issues. That Turkish shotgun we pictured in our brains at the beginning of this video, it's probably going to shoot itself to pieces in just a few hundred rounds. A lot of the semi-autos are going to be overgassed. Overgassed guns have accelerated wear, and if you mix that with poor materials and bad QC, you get a disaster in your hands. And if it's a bullpup, that chamber's right by your face. Then you want to add magazines into the mix. Turkish shotgun magazines are thin, cheaply made, and often a weak point of the design. They fail to feed, they fail to rise, they get dirty quickly, especially if a little sand gets mixed in there and the follower is not going to rise to the top. Drop them hard enough and those feed lips are going to bend or break really easily. They're generally just pieces of shit. The pump actions are often going to suffer from loading and ejecting issues, and you can always expect a rough finish and a rough action. Some of these guns can be downright dangerous. If you look up shotguns firing out of battery on the old YouTubes, you'll find videos of shotguns doing just that, and they're going to be Turkish guns. Now, this can create an issue where the gun's, exploding potentially by your face when it's supposed to be firing. Now, let's say your Turkish shotgun fails, but you don't die. That's great. You're going to point out the lifetime warranty your gun has. Then that sounds good. You can get your gun fixed, right? except the company that imported and sold the gun has disappeared. Now, these companies pimping Turkish shotguns pop up, sell a pile of them, and then just disappear. The same people are likely setting up another company and doing the same thing to the next sucker. Now, shotguns break. Shotguns break fairly often. I've broken more than a few Mossbergs, but when something breaks, I can easily find the parts to replace it. When your Turkish shotgun breaks, you're going to be hard up to find parts and pieces to repair it, or someone with the knowledge to repair it, because these guns, they're not exactly offering armorers courses. I'm not coming from a place of elitism. As you can see, I own quite a few Turkish shotguns, more than I'd really like to admit, but I have them. I have a lot of experience with these guns. My Turkish shotguns include a TriStar AR style semi-auto 12 gauge, a Tokarev USA pump action with wood furniture, the PAF 12 from Axter Arms, which folds in half, and finally my personal favorite, a 410 AR upper from Charles Daly. All were Turkish made, and the Charles Daly, the Tokarev USA, and the PAF 12 all worked well when I purchased them, and the TriStar, it's never worked well. Now, over a little time and a lot of rounds fired, each of these guns has started to fall apart and started to have a rapid decline in reliability. The Charles Daly upper will often mangle rounds in the chamber, creating an issue where the bolt won't fully close. It's rarely a big gap, but it will prevent the weapon from firing. No amount of jamming on the forward assist will fix it. The PAF 12 with the folding 12 gauge has issues ejecting rounds from the tube onto the shell lifter. They often get stuck half in the mag tube and half on the shell lifter, which jams the gun up. The Tokarev shotgun has this new issue where the bolt will catch a new shell and jam it between the ejection port and the bolt, preventing you from closing the action, and the only thing you can do is really jam it as hard as you can, and eventually it will close. Finally, the TriStar AR abortion has always been garbage. You can use the same ammo. In one magazine will fire all 5 rounds without a problem, but then the next magazine renders the gun into a straight pull bolt action shotgun. I'm not coming at this from a place of elitism. I'm coming at this from a place of practicality and experience. Most Turkish shotguns simply aren't going to work in the long term, and you're better off with a Maverick 88. Are there any good Turkish shotguns? Sure. Not all Turkish shotguns are terrible. There are some quality options. Now, what you want to look for is an established company that's been around for a minute. For example, Stoeger, which is owned by Beretta, makes the best Turkish semi-auto and pump action guns. Now, the Stoeger series of shotguns are well made, practical, and designed by people who clearly know a thing or two about shotguns. Plus, if something breaks, Stoeger can take care of it. Mossberg and CZ both import Turkish shotguns. Mossberg's double-barrel guns and the SA-20 are Turkish-made and are actually well-made and reliable little guns. CZ's various shotguns have always been well-made, and I can speak highly of the Drake series. That's the CZ Turkish gun I've had the most experience on. I've put a lot of clays out of the air with one of those. I've heard good things about the Winchester, or the Ghost of Winchester, in the SXP series, but I can't confirm. I don't have any first-hand use of the gun, so, take that for what it is. Now, the rule of thumb with Turkish shotguns is the simpler, the better. Single shots are probably going to be fine. They're so simple, it's not a lot of things to break. Plus, you're firing them so slow, it's kind of hard to stress them out. Now, Turkish double barrels seem to be fairly well regarded on the budget market. If you're looking for pump guns or semi-autos, you got to be a little more picky. Now, are there any of those kind of crazier Turkish designs that are any good? Now, I will admit I've had some good experience with the Rock Island Armory VR80 series. Now, this is a AR-style shotgun, but it's somewhat modern and somewhat well thought out. Even though I've had a good experience, I still wouldn't trust that gun for self-defense due to the kind of the magazine-fed nature of it. Those other AR-looking Turkish guns, just avoid them. The bullpup options, avoid them. Again, if you just want a fun gun, hey, that's whatever. But if you want a serious gun, avoid those. I'd probably stick to Stoeger if I want an affordable, reliable semi-auto. But if I want a reliable pump gun, I'm still going to go with the Mossberg Maverick 88. It's American-made. I know it will last. And it's a Mossberg, so I already have a ton of built-in aftermarket for it. So with that said, that's my general advice when it comes to Turkish shotguns. When in doubt, I would avoid them. They just don't have a good reputation just yet, outside of a few select companies and a few select models.